Welcome, and happy New Year 2024. The first stream of the year. Super excited. What's up, Danny, Nerve, Big C, Papa Strada, AK, Yvonne in the chat. And let's get this party started, okay? First trading day of the year. It was a red day in the market, but a lot to talk about. Bitcoin having a great weekend, and so many different things taking place. So let's get started. We're going to do the normal rundown and start off with crypto and then move our way into stocks, starting off with Bitcoin. Confirmed hidden bullish divergence on the daily. Highest, let me zoom down for a second. highest volume since before Halloween, and this bullish pennant has started to play out. It broke out on the daily, been going a little bit higher, and you went up to test this 45.7k level. The reason I have that as a level is if we go back into the past, I'm sure any trained eye can see all the lows and highs you put in at this level back in the end of 2021 and beginning of 2022. So you went up to test that level today, and it looks great still, in my opinion. You have a bullish pattern on a daily time frame with hidden bullish divergence. If we go over to a 4-hour time frame, you started to bull flag a little bit. You can probably see it even better on the 1 hour. So great stuff for Bitcoin right now. It still looks pretty bullish to me. Moving on to Ethereum. It's a few different ways you could chart this. I'm going to keep it very simple, and we're just going to look at this as a range. Okay, so this is the range that Ethereum has been in. It's still in the range, but if you want to start to connect some lines and maybe look at it like this, you can make the argument that it's testing a breakout minus these 2 wicks over here. Nonetheless, kind of falling Bitcoin, also looking pretty good. And we are adding something new to the stream. Okay, for those of you who've been here for a while, you know I talk about Bitcoin, I talk about Ethereum at the beginning of every single stream. 1 second, gotta get other chat up over here. Do that. Perfect. All right, I'm adding SOL. I tweeted about it today. All right, X'd about it today. I don't know what to say anymore. It's Twitter, it's X, I don't know. But Solana, SOL, has become very quickly one of the largest cryptos in the world. It's definitely the best performing out of Bitcoin, Ethereum in the past few months. And I wanted to quickly talk about this, where yes, this is up a lot since October. This went from like over here. I don't know what that was. But yes, this has gone up quite a bit. And it finally seems like after just kind of going straight up and straight up, especially after breaking out of this range over here and then legging up to 120. By the way, these levels are absolutely beautiful historically. 79 right over here. You can see you were testing it as resistance in December. Let's go look in the past. Boom, look at these major lows you put in here in February of 2022. Then where you topped out pretty much at the end of 2023 with this tweezer top, $120. Let's go back in time. Look at this major high and this major low. So beautiful levels playing out, a little bit of a bull flag forming over here, and the potential for hidden bullish divergence on the daily. If we go over to the 4-hour, you can kind of see what it's doing, trying to make this higher low and invalidate this lower high. All right, remember a lot of people talk about higher lows and lower highs. You have to remember that this wouldn't even technically count overall as a swing high if you were to simply do this. It really wouldn't. It would just simply be a pullback area. So keep that in mind. Wanted to talk about that very quickly. Obviously better areas to get in this asset in the last few months. Let's quickly do a check on how the other markets are looking before we head into equities. The US 10-year, I've been bearish on this literally since the top. This is probably the first one I'm going to say it might be flipping. And you still are under the 200-day moving average, but it is testing a breakout of this downsloping channel it's been in since Halloween. And 4% is still your key resistance. Pretty much the 200-day moving average is right there as well, but it is nonetheless testing a breakout. And then the US 10-year as well, I would say this might be also due for a bounce, which kind of relates to what I'm about to talk about in terms of the bearishness in the market. But the US 2-year retesting previous highs from last April as a support as we speak with classic bullish divergence. Continuing on the Hang Seng Index, I'll quickly talk about some Chinese stocks. I don't know why this chart deleted, but I can always rechart it. Has continued to develop in this downsloping channel for a while now. And let's see if that was the harmonic PCC. Close, pretty close. I mean, you could either call this a scuffed bullish Gartley or a scuffed bullish bat. Nonetheless, it's getting a reaction at around an 83% retrace in between the 786 and the 886. So a little bit of a reaction there, but again, I don't know if it's going to be charted. It's not charted, so I can draw it out again. Really the key on the Hang Seng Index is that trend line. Look, I'm gonna go out and say it. I'm not trying to be weird or anything, but gotta be careful with my wording here. This is not a literal statement I'm about to make, but a large part of China's economy is based off this line that I just drew on a website. I know that sounds crazy. I know it does. But yes, a large part of the Chinese economy, I don't know if it's the largest in the world, but I'm sure it's definitely in top 2 or 3, probably is the largest, is based off of this white line. And you believe that. I'm obviously being a little bit sarcastic, but nonetheless, this is held since longer than I've been alive. And I know I say that like once a week on the streams, but this is just, it's one of my favorite lines, okay? Some people have favorite lines. This is one of my favorite lines. Continuing on, let's look at the dollar really quickly. Of course, not surprised. It was just bearish flag, bearish pennant, finally hit a support zone. Look at these lows back from last spring, and you are now springing off of that level with classic bullish divergence confirmed playing out. I mean, look, we just talked about it. The US 10-year, the US 2-year, the dollar currency index, all of them starting to flip from bearish to, at least for the short term, bullish. We can also, again, not that I'm a huge fan of charting this, we can also take a quick look at the VIX, which is now back above 13 after having a little bit of consolidation just below that level. Might have grabbed some liquidity, not sure if there's any liquidity to grab on something like the VIX, but just for the sake of the chart, I'm saying that. And these other markets are indicating a little bit of bearishness for equities. And some of these charts might agree as well. You did get a little bit of a bounce later on in the day, but the QQQ, I don't care what anybody says, okay? I don't care. People hate divergence. People think that MACD RSI or BS. All I know is most of the time when I look at the Qs and the SPY on a daily time frame, at least the MACD, I don't really look at the RSI as much. At least the MACD over the past few years has pretty much allowed me to, I'd say at least 80% of the time, predict what was going to happen. Not like right away. Like I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. I don't know what's going to happen in exactly 4 days from right now. But it gives me that bias, and that has helped me so much, not even for just making profits, but for the same thing I was talking about in my last couple of streams, the same thing I talked about in our weekly call and premium, in understanding when to be a little bit foot on the pedal and foot off the pedal. And the past 4 to 5 days, I've started to watch this bearish divergence develop in the market, and I've gone completely risk off, apart from one stock, one swing, which I'm going to mention in a little bit. But I've gone really risk off because of that, and we saw what happened to start off the year. I'm sure a lot of people expected it, a lot of people didn't expect it. Let's talk about where we are right now, okay? I'm going to actually start off with the SPY. I don't want to start off with the QQQ. We got the weak version of an abandoned baby candlestick reversal. The reason I'm saying weak is because if you were to forget about this wick, the box I just drew, and we were to just look at a good green candle, kind of a doji candle, and then a pretty good red candle, that's an abandoned baby reversal. And it's not textbook when you have that wick, I'm pretty sure, but the psychology was there, and 473 was the key level. Why was it the key level on the SPY? Because of this huge white arrow that you see. We had about 3 or 4 daily highs here back from the end of 2021 and the beginning of 2022. And now we're in 2024, and we are testing a breakdown of that level. Doesn't seem like the end of the world just yet, but if we go over to lower time frames, again, we see that classic bearish divergence on the MACD and RSI on the daily. We go over to the 4-hour chart, or let's make it even easier, the 1-hour chart. We can really take a look at what's happening over here. I know it looks a little bit choppy. Let's clear this up. Just simply focus on the white lines you see here, okay? 3 touches on the top trend line, 2 or 3 on the bottom. What we have got is, I'm not even gonna say it, all right? I'm sure some of you know what this is. If you know what this pattern is, all right, just focus on this upsloping white line and this horizontal white line. If you know what this pattern is, drop it in the chat. Let's see who gets it first. What pattern are we looking at right here? I want the full name of this pattern. What's up, Infinite, Bueller, Frank, Big C? I'm going to be talking about Fisker shortly. The guy says here for episode 1. For those of you who watch the streams like every single night, with these little series I do, you know what's actually happening. It's nothing that's really that different. It's more of just trying to figure out YouTube SEO and get more clicks. So I'm trying to do different things to get people who aren't currently watching the streams to watch the streams. That's why you see me doing like 35 episodes of a series and then restarting. It's technically the same thing as last week, but I'm just going to state the obvious. Thanks for letting me in this seminar. I really appreciate what you did. All you guys are awesome. I really appreciate that. And Steve, very, very close with the ascending Browning wedge. I mean, it is 1, but the more correct answer is infinite paradox, right-angled ascending Browning wedge. And yeah. So a regular ascending Browning wedge would look something like this. That would be like the regular ascending Browning wedge. A right-angled one is when you have kind of a straight line of demand. And nonetheless, they're both bearish patterns, slight difference. But there is no partial rise in this yet. Like, it still could continue to develop. For all we know, this could go ahead and do this and then break down. Or it could do what like the last 4 patterns on the 1 hour have done, and even if they're bearish rising wedges, just break to the upside and keep going. Anything's possible. So I'm not worried about this right now. I'm not going all into puts right now. Not that I would ever go all in anything, but I'm not even short the market right now. Because, like, yes, it's a potential pattern. It's not confirmed yet, but something I did want to bring up. And to be fair, you did close the day with the 1 hour bullish engulfing candle on the 15-minute chart. You might have a little bit of downsloping channel forming here. Might be something to keep on your chart for tomorrow. There we go. If you are a premium member, every line I'm drawing on my chart right now, you can get on your own charts automatically. Just go to the overview channel. This channel right over here, there's going to be a couple of links you can follow, and literally every line I'm drawing on all of my charts you can now get. And you can now look at on your own computer or phone, whatever device you want to. So wanted to also state that. And that's pretty much what the SPY is looking like. If we go over to the QQQ, a little bit more of a weak performance today. Volume is growing, selling is continuing, and the level I wanted to see the Qs close above today was this low from December 20th, and unfortunately it closed beneath that. It's not too hard for it to reclaim it tomorrow, but if we were to erase everything like right over here, and we were to just look at this, 2 weeks ago, this was the key candle everybody was looking at, and I'm sure a lot of traders were thinking, okay, we break above that candle, I'm bullish. We break below that candle, I'm bearish. And a couple of weeks later, we both broke above it and have now broken below it. So in my opinion, this looks, that all-time high test we did at the end of last year, which was very impressive, that all-time high test does seem to be a fake out for now. And it's not easy to tell whether this is a double top or just a simple pullback or an eventual cup and handle. You're going to have people on social media, or just even you in your own mind, even someone like me, everyone's going to think something slightly different, okay? There is 3 or 4 potential patterns that could be created. Let me go over to a weekly time frame. That could be created out of something along the lines of this formation. It's not necessarily any complete pattern for right now. It's too early to call this double top. It's too early to call it up and handle. It's too early to really call it anything. Stop worrying about labeling what you want to call this and just focus on the price action. We know that the key level is our previous all-time highs. Every day we're beneath that is not good. Every day we're above that is good. The reason I'm putting quotations on that is because it all depends on the pattern. If we get above it but start showing bearish variables, it could be a higher high double top. This is why I'm trying to basically tell you not to dive too deep into what could happen. If I'm going to be very literal, right now we are under it. The easier risk to reward is short. Doesn't mean we're definitely going down from here, but going long here, like, where do you technically place a stop? Under your previous swing low, then it's going to be a 15% stop. Then where do you technically place your target? The first target that will come to my mind is a 1272 Fib retrace. So to target that, which would also kind of line up with like the 450-ish psych level on the Qs, you'd be getting a negative reward to risk. You'd be risking more than you could potentially make on that. If you were to, however, flip sides and theoretically go short, then placing a stop would be very easy. It would be about a 3% risk. I mean, even if you wanted to have more of a very conservative target and just looking at these previous highs as your target, you'd still be getting over 1.5 reward to risk. So yes, the reward to risk is definitely on the side of bears here because we have a level to base the trade off of in terms of a short. And that's really it. Until that changes, that's what it looks like. Doesn't mean I'm shorting the market, but it means I do understand that. And yes, there are some other variables. You are losing volume on the weekly. You do have classic bearish divergence developing on the MACD and the RSI on the weekly. Not only on the QQQ, but also on the SPY RSI. Same thing with the volume on the SPY. SPY didn't even break to new all-time highs. So that's really what the Qs and the SPY are looking like right now. You can see my levels charted out. I'm not going to explain them too much, but those are the key levels. And then we have the Russell 2000, which smaller rising wedge has played out, leading to a few selling days. We're still retesting previous highs from August. Potentially it could flip into a support, but right now you can see this yellow zone I have charted out. This is the key zone. I think above this is bullish and below this is bearish, and that's really my only analysis for the Russell 2000. I know there's the whole rotation of small caps story / rumor heading everywhere. I would love nothing more than for that to happen, but as of right now, again, where does the reward to risk, or who does a reward to risk really help at a level like this? The bears. Because when you're testing a resistance, it's going to help the bears. When we were testing support over here, it helps the bulls. And it's really that simple until we break this range. But statistically speaking, since we've entered this range, every single time you've got to this price has been a top. Statistically speaking, that will break at some point. I just don't know when, and I can't tell you when. All right. Does have to break under 468 for the SPY. I don't really have anything charted at 468. I do see 468 as pretty much these 2-day lows. On the 1 hour, my key level, okay, that was 468. Yes, so for this bearish pattern to play out, yes, it would be a break under 468. Why is right-angled ascending broadening wedge bearish? Because your supply is going higher and higher, which makes it harder to reach that level of supply, and your demand is staying at the same price point. So the demand is not rising. So technically in a regular ascending broadening wedge as well, your demand will be rising. That's why you have a breakdown point. And I'm sure you could get other answers to that, but that's how I look at it. Anybody else who has any questions or take requests, make sure to drop them in the chat. We just went over the overall market. Now I'm going to talk about some individual names. Let's look at the large caps first. Let's take a look at Apple. Zoom out onto the daily time frame, and this whatever pattern I drew, call it whatever you want, broke down. Today you gapped down. I think there was some news. And well, of course, if we go over to a weekly time frame, the first thought that could come to your mind is, okay, 2 rejections of $200 and classic bearish divergence on both oscillators. As it stands, the weekly time frame on Apple, I would say, is bearish for the first time. I'm not even going to sit here and BS you. I can't even tell you the last time I even see right now or in the top of my mind where Apple was bearish on a weekly time frame. Maybe like this would be like the only thing I could kind of say, and it did not play out by any means. I mean, kind of. You broke down, then you retested. You went down about like 20%. I guess that is pretty decent. But I don't know, apart from what I just drew out the last time Apple looked bearish on a weekly time frame. But to me, it does look bearish on a weekly time frame right now. On the daily, I think the big test is just holding above this zone I'm about to draw right now. Holding above this zone is going to be what's key. You got your 200-day moving average there and previous highs from the last couple of years at that price point. Amazon retesting the top of this zone it just broke out of. try to flip it into a support. Kind of did, at least for today. We'll see if that continues to hold. Nvidia had a rough day today. It has been continuing to test the top of this range, and today it rolled over a little bit. On the 1 hour, here's a nice little segue into broadening wedges. Here's a ascending broadening wedge breakdown that took place this morning. Had a 4% red candle to start the day, and then kind of went sideways. Microsoft, it's really tough. I've kind of flipped a little bit back and forth on Microsoft. I'm going to just have more of a neutral standpoint for right now. If we zoom out, this is one of the prettiest cup and handles I've ever seen. But it's like, it's just not really moving. And again, for a pattern that large, yeah, it could take some time. So I don't know. It's like it has a bull flag, but then what if you start to draw a bear flag? It's not that really that's a place to put a bear flag, but it's very 50-50. Short term, I think longer term it still looks bullish though. Coinbase, not necessarily large cap, but this was on the bearish weekly watch list I sent out on Sunday to premium members, and beautiful. I mean, first of all, Coinbase, I alerted in premium as a swing trade down here at $77, pretty much at this exact low it put in August. And yeah, the target was 110 bucks. There was no way I was thinking it was going to go straight up to almost 200, and it did. But nonetheless, it was a slight 43% gain. And then it continued ripping. And what I saw is last Friday, we developed this bearish engulfing candle to break us slightly under this 177 support level, which you spent 2 days. Like, if we really zoom in here, okay? We spent 2 days using this as a top, and then 2 days using this as a low. And then you flush under it. Not only that, but there's historical significance here. Why were you testing that level? Because it was literally a gap fill from April 6th of 2022, and that's why you look left on your charts. Okay? So Coinbase broke that level, bearish engulfing, volume rose on Friday as well for the selling volume. And I mean, this technically confirmed today in the morning, but your MACD is now red for the first time since Halloween. If we really want to ignore these two little histogram bars, then for the first time since like September. So quite the turnaround for Coinbase. I mean, Bitcoin had a good weekend. We already looked at it. If you look at like some names like Mara and Riot, they both gapped up because Bitcoin had a good weekend, but lost gains throughout the day. So definitely that overbought theme for a lot of these crypto names started to play out a little bit today. Personally, I think Bitcoin has more room to the upside. So you have to kind of really do the math on some of these. On these crypto stocks, like start to really look at, and I know this sounds crazy because they have done a great job at having correlation with Bitcoin, but remember that none of these are literally Bitcoin. And especially when we're going to be talking about that potential ETF very, very shortly, you have to remember that something spot, like a spot ETF, is going to be a lot more reliable than crypto miners, because what happens when Riot or Mara gets slapped with a lawsuit or they have bad revenue one quarter? They're not literally Bitcoin. They've done a great job of tracking it. They've traded better than Bitcoin in terms of percent gain in the last couple of months, but they're not literally Bitcoin. So just please remember that. Nonetheless, very similar to Coin, there were also swings for free put out in the Discord for free. Any of you could have joined it. If you're not in the Discord, the link's at the bottom, discord.gg/free trading movement. And then you go to the Swing Alerts channel, which is free for everybody to view. Actually, no, this was in the, it was in the swing. It's not crypto. I don't even know when this was. Let's try and find it. Well, Carvana is in there. That's beautiful. There we go. Mar and Riot on 10/24, October 24th, 2023. And that's where this white arrow was, is exactly where that was. All right, this is exactly where I shared it. And you can see the move that took place. And I don't know when I charted that 31 level, but again, this is why I love historical support resistance. Look at these two tops from February and March of 2022, and look at where Mara just topped out for now. So very interesting stuff there as well. We were talking about Nvidia. AMD had kind of a gap down day today. Classic bearish divergence confirmed a lot of this stuff going on. A lot of classic bearish divergence on the daily time frames. AMD classic bearish divergence is there on the daily. So that's a select amount of large caps. In terms of the swings, Carvana pretty much hit all of the targets. LI, been all over the place. Went a little bit lower, went a little bit higher. And now it's pretty much retesting the 200-day moving average right back to where it was at. Tesla, this is a swing. I'm still bullish on it, but I did say last week that this is probably going to pull back. There come the sneezes. I was saying last week that this is probably going to pull back before it goes higher. It was a pretty nice, for the bears, yeah, it was a pretty nice bearish engulfing candle on the daily time frame with classic bearish divergence. If you're confused at all about classic bearish divergence or any of the terms I'm saying, I have a free course. It's on my YouTube channel under the playlist section. It's also in the links in the description, so you can understand what everything I'm talking about is. For the sake of the stream, I kind of just run through a bunch of charts so you can just get the gist of everything. If you're not understanding what I'm saying, there's a full free course in the description. But Tesla is now in the process of back testing this wedge breakout. I like this wick that it has at the bottom of the candle today, and we got onto like lower time frames on the 4-hour chart. Got that 4-hour bullish pin bar candle. Volume has been pretty steady. I still think the swing looks okay. You had a little bit of bearishness short term that's been playing out. It might play out a little bit more. You might go down to literally back test this supply line and like actually touch it. That's also possible. But the overall picture still looks bullish to me. Continuing on with the swings. Again, all these were alerted for free in the Discord. The ARK ETF swing also pulling back and back testing the breakout of its inverse head and shoulders. This swing is still in profit, up about 5%. Clove swing has just gone sideways. That perfectly hit the first target and then pull back. There's not much of an update here. It's just a matter of whether or not it can break above the 200-day moving average. Gold sideways, and then Zoom hit the first target, 14% gain, and then Lyft pretty much hit the second target for a 53% gain. And that's a beautiful target. That is an absolutely beautiful target because that's where it pulled back. And what's very similar to that? Carvana. So that's really it for the swings. One last thing I want to talk about before I look at some of these ticker requests is Fisker, which is now officially back in the down sloping channel. And that's what I've been waiting for. For the last probably 2 months, I have received a very high quantity of personal questions, Twitter DMs, Discord DMs, stream questions, Discord chats asking me, what am I doing? Am I buying this Fisker dip? Am I buying it up? What's happening? I'm talking about it here and there, and I've been very clear the whole entire time. I've not once denied anything. I was saying I thought Fisker was a steal at $3, $2.50, $2. I was saying I think this is undervalued long term, and I was also saying the whole time I think that short term it is high risk. And then people were asking me, okay, so are you buying it? And I was telling you, no, I'm not. I was telling everybody that was asking me, I'm not. I don't have any long term positions right now. I'm more of a day trader. I like what was happening to the stock price for the long term. It was obviously high risk in the short term, and it still might be, but I still wasn't buying it. And every time I was asked that question, I was very straightforward. And as of last Friday, the last trading day of last year, I opened an equity position in Fisker. I still don't know if this is going to be a swing or a long term, but I did open I did buy a decent amount of shares. Nothing crazy. The whole entire position is riskable at the end of the day. But for the first time, I've traded a lot of Fisker options in the last couple of months. I have not traded any equity, and I am overnighting Fisker equity for the first time. I don't even know the last. It was probably like somewhere in this range was the last time I owned Fisker equity. So in this whole entire drop down, I never, maybe like once or twice for like a week or so in some swings, potentially, but I never really bought up Fisker equity like I have. In the last 2 days, I actually doubled the position this morning. And yeah, so to answer everyone's questions who's been asking me for a while, yes, I bought Fisker here. My average is around the current price right now, actually. So I don't want to make any promises. I don't want to say anything. I don't know if this is going to be a swing trade or if I'm going to hold this for the next 30 years of my life. I don't know yet. I'm not trying to plan that out yet. I'm willing to risk it. I just want to take it day by day and evaluate the position based on when we have more news come out and how the technicals develop. And that's it. So Wanted to make that clear. And a couple of the reasons, well, the main reasons are everything I've said for the past 3 months. Fundamentally, we've already had these topics on the stream, so I'm not going to kind of reply with them again. And what we saw last Friday was kind of finally, okay, we got a little bit of news. I'm going to be even more straightforward. I don't really think the news meant much, but it was just something. It was just something to kind of stop the pain for a little bit. And I've been waiting, like this whole entire period over here. I was like, I want to see it get back in the downsloping channel, and it did. So now it's back in the downsloping channel. I can technically have an area to place a stop where we consolidated at for about a month, which is under our current all-time lows. And it's a way for me to get in at what I feel is a low price with a stop loss. Okay, I don't know if it's a low price. Could it go to 75 cents? Yes, it could. But I can have a stop loss, and if I get stopped out, I can reevaluate it. So that's pretty much what happened. Obviously, I made a decent amount of money when Fisker was doing all of this craziness and all the swings we had back in the day. That's where all this kind of started. And I stopped really kind of holding it somewhere in this area. And thankfully I did, because it went from 15 to $2. And this is the part that kind of makes things really strange for me when people ask me questions. I've been honest about it the whole time. Because people asked me over here, did I own Fisker long term? And I still said no. All right. And I did have some of like my Roth IRA for a while. So I've moved a lot of my accounts over and over, but the moral of the story is I really haven't owned Fisker equity for like any of this. I've traded calls and stuff. I've traded options, absolutely, quite a bit, honestly. It's one of my most traded. But in terms of like actual shares, no, until right now. So I wanted to say that on the stream. I might sell it in 2 days. I don't want to make any promises. I'm not here to sell you anything. Anything is possible. Do your own financial due diligence, and yeah, we'll see what happens, okay? So let's take a look at these taker requests now. We have a decent amount of them. If you didn't already, make sure to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. I'm wishing all of you a great year for your lives and for trading as well. If you're not subscribed to the channel, I want to hit 5,000 subscribers this year. We're very close to 4,000 subscribers right now. So if you're not subscribed, make sure to hit that subscribe button. We'd love to have you join the crew. And if you're not on the Discord, discord.gg/free trading movement. That is right there on the bottom of the screen. If for whatever reason you want to trust a complete stranger, I'm joking. You do want to join premium, it's a pin chat. Today there was actually 3 different alerts I put out. These went about 40%, but in like 3 minutes. It was like way too quick. This was a 15% stop out. And then this one about 100%. So 3 different options day trades were alerted today. I also alerted a new swing trade today, and then there was also the weekly watch list that was alerted yesterday. And as you can see, Coinbase was on the bear watch list at 174, and then Coinbase went down to 158 today. All right, so that's what's going on. If you want to kind of dive deeper into things, if you want to just casually enjoy the streams, that's amazing as well. Make sure to hit the subscribe button. And let's go through some of these names, starting off with GNS. Let's look at these chat taker requests. GNS, it rejected this 80-cent supply level, coming down to fill this gap now from the gap up on December 15th. Looks like a larger bear flag is in play here. I would say it looks not so great on the second break above that yellow zone I had charted. Cost, could be a bull flag forming, but there's really no levels here. So remember, this could easily break down. It's much nicer to play a bull flag when you have a level. This one just doesn't right now. Beyond this, first of all, this was a beautiful breakout, 760. I was non-stop talking about this while it was over here consolidating. Went up to pretty much get close to the 200 moving average and reject it. So the key level to break was $7.60. Now the key level to hold is $7.60. Peloton, key level to break above is 662. That's low over here, high over here, high over here. I would say I'm bearish on Peloton under $6.62. If it breaks above it, that's a different story. Really no opinion on SoFi here. I think it's a pretty 50-50. 1027 is a level to keep an eye on. Take a look at this low, this high. Take a look at this high, these 2 candle lows, the recent highs. That's your key make or break level for SoFi. Palantir. Oh no, it broke the key level, 17 bucks. It's held since November 2nd. It broke it today. So now you've got a gap fill at 15 bucks. I'm bearish on Palantir, under $17. Now, don't come tweet me if it really broke above the 200 moving average. I would say this looks okay to me as long as it can continue to hold that 200 moving average, which it pretty much got very close to testing today. MU. I don't like how it broke under 86 bucks. Classic bearish divergence. I'm bearish on this one, under $86. Being very straightforward today, and that's really what I'm going to try to do for the rest of the year. If some newer people don't understand why I'm saying things directly, and then if I'm wrong 1 out of 10 times, they can get mad. But I've kind of realized that I want to go into this year with like providing the most direct answers, because that's what people want at the end of the day. I'm not going to say Bitcoin could go to 37,000 if it breaks above 36.9K. I don't want to do that. I don't want to say, hey, the stock looks bullish, but it also looks bearish. I just want to say what I think, and if I'm wrong, I'm sorry. Well, actually, I'm not sorry. That's really my goal for this year. And obviously, nothing I say is financial advice, but I also don't want to repeat that 1,000 times. I want everybody to just know that. I'm going to be wrong sometimes. Netflix. This is a very key zone. Historically, it's above it for right now. It does have the classic bearish divergence. I guess it did kind of break down from this down or upsloping channel. So it's somewhat bearish, but it's okay as long as it stays above this zone. I know that was a little bit of flip-floppy, which is exactly what I was saying no to, but this is literally a chart where you kind of have to kind of say that. Rivian, pretty decent gap down today. Really rough day for EVs. Negative 10%. But I can't even... Another swing which perfectly goes to all 3 targets and then decides to reverse. Like, you cannot make this stuff up. When Rivian was at $16, I charted this out and I said $24.49 is where I think should be the top of a swing trade. It went to $24.49 and that was the top of a swing trade. That was the best area to take profits on a swing trade. I'm not saying it's never going to go higher than that, but in terms of a swing, that was the best area to take profit. You want to learn how to do this, get your behind in the Discord. And you're not going to learn it in a month. You're not going to learn it in 2 months. Give yourself 5 to 6 months and you're going to learn how to be able to take trades like that. All right. Thank you for watching the stream. First stream of the year. First episode of the simple stocks and crypto stream. I'm really just trying to make everything simple now. There was a lot of confusion the past couple of years. This year I'm going to try to make everything very simple, straight to the point. And let's just profit, profit, profit. Have a great night. Hit the like button. And I will see you in the Discord tomorrow.